So, like most people on the planet, I just finished watching the Obi-Wan show on Disney+. As a show, I think it was 100% fine. I weirdly went into the show with really low expectations, so I wasn't that disappointed like many other Star Wars fans out there. Which is kind of weird because Obi-Wan is legitimately my all-time favorite Star Wars character. So when the show finally ended, my review ended up just being a shoulder shrug. Kind of like most Star Wars media that has come out since the Disney acquisition. Just that feeling of not completely hating it, but also not having the energy to really defend it. It's just okay. However, as the show kind of got towards the middle, I finally grasped what my biggest problem with the show was. And it's in direct relation to the Book of Boba Fett. This is obviously not true, but I have convinced myself that the plot of Book of Boba Fett and the plot of Obi-Wan Kenobi were mixed up. Maybe it was a Lucasfilm intern accidentally putting the script in the wrong basket. Or maybe they got Obi-Wan and Boba Fett's names mixed up when they were writing. I don't know. I'm obviously goofing a little bit. I'm not talking about literally taking the characters and switching them, because that makes no sense. But rather the fact that these shows' concepts and plot points should have been swapped. Let me try to explain. The major structure of the Boba Fett show, without the Mando interlude, which is widely considered the best episode of the show, is set up as flashback and then the present, flashback and then the present, and so on and so on. You know what show that structure would have worked really well for? Obi-Wan. When I first started watching Obi-Wan, I was really excited about leaving Tatooine. Mainly because, as the audience, we had just spent all of Book of Boba Fett minus the Mando episodes on Tatooine. I obviously don't speak for everyone, but only being on Tatooine was starting to get a little stagnant. Also, the only connection Boba really had to Tatooine up to this point is Jabba, who's dead and falling into the Starlock pit. There's really no reason for him to stick around or even be on Tatooine. Now back to Obi-Wan. If there's one thing the Obi-Wan show should have done, which kinda sucks but makes the most sense, is Obi-Wan shouldn't have left Tatooine. The dude is on a mission to watch Luke and can't leave. It legitimately puts himself, Luke, and Leia in more danger if he leaves. Many might argue that having Obi-Wan stay on Tatooine could get stagnant, like the Book of Boba Fett did. But his relationship to Tatooine is so radically different than Boba's. Obi-Wan has this weirdly deep connection to Tatooine with how little he's even been there. The most he had even explored this planet up until living there was walking outside of the starship in Phantom Menace. Nonetheless, this is the planet that Anakin is from, someone Obi-Wan considers to be a brother-like figure to him, and it's where he spent some of his last moments with his mentor Qui-Gon. Simply put, it's a really interesting planet to explore in connection to Obi-Wan's character. Not to mention that we could also go the same route as Book of Boba Fett and have flashbacks in the Clone Wars era with Anakin and Obi-Wan. This completely eliminates the stagnant feeling because we'll be going to different planets and different worlds within these flashbacks. Plus, if you're bringing back Hayden, take advantage of doing flashbacks and slightly de-aging the actors, even though they're both still heartthrobs. And obviously we ended up having a flashback in part 5, which was great. The de-aging wasn't like incredible, it's a TV budget, and Hayden looked like he was 40, but I'm sorry to break it to you, but I just don't really care. I was just happy that Hayden was back. So I'm fine with more flashbacks. It doesn't really matter to me that they look older. I know it's a canon thing, I know it's not like the ideal thing, but you have them both back, use them. Another issue that may come about with Obi-Wan staying on Tatooine is it defeats his whole potential encounter with Vader. But why does it have to? Hear me out. I might just be talking out of my butt right now, and I may be completely off on the canon. I apologize with that. My Star Wars knowledge isn't pristine or encyclopedia as much as I would like it to be. But why can't Vader just know Obi-Wan is on Tatooine? Vader makes it very clear that he wants Obi-Wan to suffer like him. So why not make him suffer on a giant desert planet that he assumes he's safe on? That feels like such a good way to make someone suffer. You're making them suffer on the planet you hated. I think this adds a lot of options on how you can use Vader in this show. It makes Vader a much scarier and almost Jaws-like character. He's always there, but you don't always see him, because he would rather watch Obi-Wan suffer and toy with him than kill him. It's almost like Vader is refusing to put Obi-Wan out of his misery. Also, this makes Obi-Wan more and more desperate to get in contact with Qui-Gon because he's essentially being haunted by Vader. And also, you know who the coolest person to reveal to Obi-Wan that Anakin is in fact Darth Vader? Qui-Gon Jinn. Or if you don't want to go that direction, have Qui-Gon tell Obi-Wan to search his feelings because he doesn't want to break it to him. This also ends up being a really good parallel to Obi-Wan and Luke's conversation in A New Hope. So George would be very happy.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
Now, I want to just cover one more thing before I jump over to Book of Boba Fett. There is one character request that I am personally making. Is it a good character request? Probably not, but this character needs to show up in Obi-Wan. This character has connections to both Anakin and Qui-Gon. Watto. I don't really care how it happens, but Obi-Wan needs to have a conversation with Watto. The dude owned Anakin as a slave and played a game of chance with Qui-Gon, and he already lives on Tatooine. This might feel like a bit that I'm doing in this, but I genuinely think Watto would be a really interesting character to have in the Obi-Wan show, even for one episode. Now that I've gone on my huge tirade about Obi-Wan, I want to talk a little bit about Book of Boba Fett. Because as I said earlier, these shows directly connect as their scripts got mixed up by that Lucasfilm intern. Now, the major plot of Obi-Wan is a rescue mission to save Leia. And you know what show that would work way better for? Book of Boba Fett. Now, obviously, these shows take place during different times in the Star Wars story, so Boba Fett is not going to be saving Leia. But he needs to go on a mission to retrieve something, which I will reveal in a moment. But first, we have to address the slog between Return of the Jedi and the first Mando episode that has Boba Fett in it. I think you legitimately could put Boba's relationship with the Tuskens in one episode, two if it really feels rushed. The biggest thing this show needs to accomplish is getting Boba off planet, just like the Obi-Wan show did with Obi-Wan. So the first 1 or 2 episodes need to consist of Boba's relationship with the Tuskens growing, the Tuskens helping him get his ship back, him saving Fennec, him getting his armor from Mando, and then him going back to Tatooine and killing anyone he has a vendetta against. That's all we need of Tatooine in this show. Once that's over, we can actually explore and have a fun bounty hunter-centered Boba Fett show. And Fennec can be a part of it or not. It's really not that big of a deal either way. So you might be wondering, we're doing the beats of the Obi-Wan show, so what is Boba's rescue mission? As I mentioned earlier, Boba will not be on a rescue mission for a person, but rather, he is locating an item that is only rumored to still be around. And it's being sought after by the most powerful people in the galaxy. Luke's lightsaber on Cloud City. I have to give credit where credit is due. My brother Levi had this plot ready for a Boba Fett movie. At the time, it looked like there was going to be a Boba Fett movie, not show, after Force Awakens came out. So this plot is literally 7 years in the making. But that's your Boba Fett show. A wild goose chase to locate Luke's lightsaber, and you just run with it. Have him be rusty and constantly be in danger, like Obi-Wan. Have both the rebellion and what's left of the Empire going after the same thing, so it establishes that Boba is truly on no one's side. That's what the Book of Boba Fett should have been. The Book of Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan Kenobi show got mixed up, and they really didn't think we'd notice. But that's all I got. I know this isn't normally the type of video I make, but hopefully you enjoyed it. I felt like I had an epiphany about these shows a few weeks ago and just had to get it out there. If you have any ideas or thoughts, put them in the comments. Or if I got anything ridiculously wrong, please let me know in the comments also. Knowing how Star Wars discourse usually goes, I know the comments are gonna be super civil.